I think for the past 5 years, 4 years, 5 years now, that we've been doing this, it is clear that the commitment you have to international justice is clear and it's unwavering. And for this, I want, on behalf of my fellow prosecutors, I know they will say it, but I want to thank you for that. And it is this that encourages us, that makes us want to do more, to know that there are people out there who care as much as we do. That's what the commitment is all about. You care. We are the ones perhaps sitting in these positions, but you are the ones who are making us succeed in whatever we're doing because of the support and the encouragement and the commitment that you continue to have.
Here at Chautauqua, it's a wonderful place to actually have a conference like this because you feel this sort of intellectually curious environment, and I'm always delighted by all of the people who live here over the summer, who come to the dialogues and engage with us and talk with us. So I just think it's an absolutely wonderful place to have these dialogues.
And I think the declaration that we worked on this morning and finalized really reflects all the aspirations that we all hold, which is to close the gap in impunity and to bring particularly all the fugitives who remain from the various tribunals, including ours, the ICTR, to justice. Because some of the tribunals, such as Rwanda, are closing. Some of these fugitives would not be brought to justice. And I think the lessons, as spelled out in the resolution, with the recent arrests at the ICTY, as well as at the ICTR, show that that gap is closing, and the fugitives will be brought to justice one time or another.
As we do our work, we continue to face challenges. Some of the challenges maybe we were not even thinking about, like currently what is happening, with Libya. Today we have very interesting discussions about what is going to happen. How are you going to deal with complementarity? It is something under the Rome Statute that we have to respect, but under the circumstances and what is going on in Libya, how are you going to deal with that? Are they even in a position to start investigations and prosecution? But at the same time, we need to respect. So these are some of the challenges that perhaps nobody has the answer now, but which we continue to be confronted with.
The last 2 years when I came to this conference, I always expressed my frustrations for the non-arrest of our remaining fugitives. As you know, we always those last 2 guys, Mladic, Hadjic, hanging around, escaping justice. So this year, of course, we are very pleased that finally, it took very long, too long, 16 years for Mladic to have him arrested. So we are very, very pleased that finally we can move towards the end of our mandate, and we hope to have those last trials going on very soon. But it also means that we have to think back and reflect, why has it taken so long? Why has it taken 60 years for Mladic to be arrested? And we see many similarities with situations. We see the situation of the ICC. It is the fact that during the first years after arrest warrants were issued, nobody in the international community was interested in arresting Mladic and Karadzic. They were still playing important political roles in the region, or the international community was afraid that by arresting them, they would destabilize a very fragile peace. If arrest took place so many years later, it's because today those guys are playing, not really, or are not playing any more political role, and the international community can more easily put pressure. So the lessons learned for us is that time is a very important issue. I don't think that you can apply the sentence justice delayed is justice denied in the same way on international justice, because time is a real factor, and we all have delays in our cases, but it shows that at the end of the day, we as international prosecutors, we can only show our commitment and try to do our work as best as we can, but it's up to the international community who created all our tribunals to take their responsibility and to make sure that those who are today escaping justice are arrested as soon as possible.
The one and only thing that you must remember throughout your professional career is to maintain your integrity, because ultimately it's a rock which you have to cling to. You heard in the declaration calling for the integrity and independence of the court in Cambodia. I've touched on this before. I believe that these kinds of values, integrity, rectitude, sincerity, and honesty, they're not just actually important in courts, they're important in society generally, how we function. So I will go on doing what I do in Cambodia for as long as the government allow me to be there. But I think, as I say, that's all I will leave you with. I think those values are important, not just in the court in Cambodia, not just in all of the other tribunals, of course they are, but in society generally. And I think as prosecutors we actually have an obligation to reflect that in any society where we work, in any community.
I'd like to think that Robert Jackson would really enjoy this. I really do, not because it's here in his home area, near his hometown, but he would have really cherished this exchange, sitting on the porch, having a libation, and just exchanging ideas in a non-intrusive, friendly atmosphere. I do want to recognize and to perhaps pause for a moment on the life of my good friend Robert Vincent, who was the late registrar of the Special Court for Sierra Leone, who I remember getting off the airplane with 10 years ago next year. It was just 5 of us, a couple suitcases, and an idea. And so I would like, if you would.
I'd like to make a few comments on one aspect of the Declaration before I close here, and that part of the Declaration that addressed continuing funding for the residual mechanisms of the court. And I think that this is very, very important. I think that although the Special Court has completed its trial work, and of course waiting judgment and the inevitable appeal, and will be the first court to complete its mandate, that although in that sense we've completed our mandate, we have to remember that these courts do not essentially close until the last convicted has finished serving his sentence, until there is no threats or the potential of any threats towards any of the witnesses or those sources or those who were brave enough to come forward and give evidence before these tribunals.
I want to address my comments not so much to the Declaration, which I think both speaks for itself and which contains some very, very powerful themes in it, which I would again urge all of you to carefully read over the next few days. I want to ask each and every one of you to continue these dialogues, continue them at home with your families, continue them in your schools, your universities, your churches, your synagogues, your mosques. Keep talking about these ideas. We as prosecutors often speak for the victims and speak for those who can't speak for themselves.
I do, however, want to reiterate their thanks on my behalf for this invitation to the Jackson Center, Greg and all his crew, and Chautauqua Institution for this wonderful opportunity again. I was surprised, however, with one little exception, that whoever, who year after year, since since the very first conference, has been responsible for this beautiful weather we have every single year. I want to thank him or her. We have some serious connection, and I'm doing very much into this. As I said, and as everybody has said, we are very grateful for this opportunity, for the interest you show to our work, to our cause, which is not ours, but everyone who